Hi, everyone, and welcome back. I decided to write slash make this video on an important topic, which is reading a book in its given context. When when you read a book, you're basically, especially a history book, especially philosophy, you are reading a segment of culture, granted a slim segment of culture, out of context. So, the reason why I'm reading this and doing all this is because when I've been reading a lot of Zionist literature recently, like AutoEmancipation and Rome and Jerusalem, these books were, in reality, a reaction to the growing nationalism, especially in Germany, Russia, and a lot of the pogroms that were happening in Eastern Europe. It, from Romania to Russia, and a lot of it is in the language of trying to justify Jewish culture, trying to, in a lot of ways, make it clear that as much as a lot of Jews did want to try to assimilate into the world around them, it just wasn't working, especially in Russia, because in a lot of ways, especially on auto-emancipation, even if you try to assimilate into the culture around you, a lot of traits of who you are, your religion, the society, culture you are part of, doesn't just go away. And in a lot of ways, books like Auto-Emancipation and Rome and Jerusalem are pointing out that anti-Semitism isn't fair to anyone, and in a lot of ways you are denying yourself an important part of culture that does bring a lot to the table. Zionism was in reaction to the fact that, especially in Russia, the ability to stay just wasn't there. Heck, Romania itself, the Kingdom of Romania, in a lot of ways built itself up on anti Semitism, and in a lot of ways that was a unifying part of the kingdom during its initial stages. And in a lot of ways, finding either a place to go to, like the United States, Britain, Canada, heck, even Argentina, was given as options to escape to. Palestine in itself, until you have figures like Ahad Alam, the early Zionist movement that was sponsored by, and the first and second wave Aliyah sponsored by the Rothschilds. Palestine, in a lot of ways, was funded by charity, and especially if you look at how often malaria kept on cropping up, it was not a very strong, suitable place. Figures like figures like the Rothschilds and their in-laws did a lot to try to make it into an agricultural society that could sustain itself, but unfortunately, between malaria outbreaks and the fact that deforestation destroyed a lot of the soil, um, that that wasn't always an option. And a lot of ways, the idea of that there absolutely must be a homeland for the Jews really does come from this context of, even though you have legal emancipation with France freeing emancipating the Jews as early as the First French Revolution, you have to look in the context of just because people are given legal rights does not mean toleration always comes with it. So when you're reading books, especially philosophies and books advocating for one group, you are really only reading one snapshot, and you need to understand the context that comes with it.